Hey guys, it's CDTVProductions here. So, as some of you guys may know, some of you might not, I'm doing top 10s a lot less frequently on my channel. You can tell by looking through the past few videos that I've done, but one of the series that I will be keeping is my 10 fastest verses series, which is what you're watching right now, because this is what I started my channel with, and I feel like this is a lot less of a typical top 10, so I think I'm still gonna keep this one, maybe the 10 worst and best lyrics lists, and definitely end of year top 10 lists, but this is one of the top 10s I'm gonna be keeping, and today, in 10 fastest verses, we're going to be looking at Ski Mask, the Slump God. Now, Ski is someone that I reviewed in my Worst Rappers in the Game series, which, if you're new to my channel, that might sound like it's a negative thing, but it's not. Worst Rappers in the Game is essentially just my review series. It's not saying someone is the worst rapper in the game, it's asking if they are based on requests, which is why I did Ski Mask. But today, this video will surely be taken a lot less negatively because the title is positive, because that counts for so much apparently. So with all that being said, guys, this is CDTVProductions, and today we will be counting down the 10 fastest Ski Mask the Slump God verses of all time. And at our number 10 spot, we have Psycho verse 2, where he hits 6.6 syllables per second.
When I'm all up in it, kinda talking hard to fit in Kimmel's slice, playing limbo, jump rope. How I stop his fitted, pussy boots, cause you a kid, whip his ass like the Django, King Kong. Could that waggle with me, you and muscles like you Mickey Clubhouse, we be long.
Ski Mask pretty much always spits over some interesting production, and here is no different with him rapping over a heavily rock-influenced beat, as it actually samples a song by Slipknot called Psychosocial. Now, I really dislike rock music, just personally it's not for me, but for some reason I like when it's incorporated into rap music, and it makes for a great track here. And at our 9th spot, we have I Like Bricks verse 1, where he hits 7.1 syllables per second.
My name was a Swiffer, shining like I'm the Big Dipper. Black and white diamonds, they wet, they like Skipper. Can never switch up for one of my niggas. All my nigga ballin', no spot like the Clippers. Your nigga trapping it like a Benny. That's why she gon' give me the heads to tell like a penny. Hey, she right.
This was one of the first Ski Mask tracks I ever heard, it being the first song on his Drowning Designer mixtape, which was the first one that I listened to, and it's a great track. He raps over a very bassy beat, and it fits his style perfectly. He pulls off a multitude of crazy flows throughout this track, and it makes for a breathtaking listen. Before you know it, the track is over, but that's one of the main things that makes it so replayable. And at our number 8 spot, we have Splash verse 1, where he hits 7.5 syllables per second.
Hey, I didn't wanna see that dope up on the boat. Hey, I didn't wanna rap and shit because the coast. Hey, smoking a fruity color, the cantaloupe. Hey, major bitch came in without the fucking rope. Hey, the bitch not an animal but got camel toe. Hey, I slurp it, I spoon it, just had some animals. Hey.
As you can tell, due to the quality being a bit lower and Ski Mask not being as unique sounding as he is today, this is one of the much older tracks on here. It only came out around a year and a half ago, but Ski hasn't been releasing music for that long, and this was one of his earlier tracks. Even with a bit less of that eccentric style he favors now, he still had his dizzying flows back then, and he knew how to chop it up. And for our 7th spot, we have his Laffy Taffy remix verse 2, where he hits 7.5 syllables per second.
Get it. If I said I'm with it, then I'm with it. Bitch, I'm in the old screaming free X. If a nigga said it, then I'm in it. When I read it up, I need a minute. Minivan, Jiggy Puff, finish. Rock up on me like a pistol tennis, and I put this on the goggles, and they feel me like a chemist, okay, like that.
In one of my most recent videos called What Was the Worst Year for Hip Hop, I mentioned not being a big fan of the song Laffy Taffy. And whilst I still don't like the 8-bit sounding beat, I'd be lying if I said I didn't like what Ski does with the track here. This track has a couple segments that I had to count to find the fastest one, because he keeps his bars coming at a high pace throughout most of this track. And at our number 6 spot, we have Shit Talk verse 1, where he hits 7.6 syllables per second.
Hey, throwing money, winning my smoking on cannabis, feeling like Hannibal, handle your fate, then I damage it, Butcher my enemies, I'm the best candidate, drink for the cash, and I ran with it, Palace on my body, I'm the man, tat on my body, Joanna met, come with that drama, spray llama met,
Here we have another track from Drowning Designer, and interestingly, this song samples from SpongeBob SquarePants. I just love when Ski samples from cartoons like that, or when his producers do, but you know what I mean. One thing that you'll notice for a lot of the verses that appear here is that they use the flow, which is Ski's version of the A flow basically, and that is the case with this track. I at least appreciate that when Ski Ski does use an A flow, he at least keeps the speed up whilst doing it. It makes it a lot more interesting and varied than most other rappers using an A flow. And at number 5, we have Let's Shlide verse 1, where he hits 7.7 syllables per second.
Okay, drop the bezel, had to switch my schedule on my dick, she Lego, never Lego. Her stuck up on me, so I call it Velcro. Killer, need my Dedero Pendejo. Hit my metro if it's about the pencil, like it's Go Diego, make it right on schedule. Got the pistol on me with the biggest endo bitches in the back.
And here we have yet another one from early on in Ski Mask's career. This is like the 6th track that he has on his SoundCloud. Here he raps over a fairly slow-paced beat, but it gives him plenty of room to work with his flows. Again, his energy is a little bit lower due to it being an earlier track, but that doesn't take away from how impressive some parts of it sound. Definitely another pretty good track. And at number 4, we have WHATINXXXTARNATION verse 2, where he hits 7.8 syllables per second.
Gotta be kidding me, made me giggle like tickle me. You said this nigga envy me, but you shake like a centipede. And my song is centuries, bitch. I must have to pull over on my heel.
I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this song in my Apple Music, I didn't think it was a real track. I mean, look at the name and the weird ass artwork, and it just doesn't look like an official release, but it is. The beat has a fair bit of distortion on it, which I'm not a fan of as always, but it's not so strong that it's super distracting. You can still actually hear Ski Mask throughout the beat, so I appreciate that. And it's good that you can hear him, because around 30 seconds into his verse, he rips out an impressive few bars that is emphasized by the beat dropping throughout it. Not a huge fan of the track as a whole, but Ski Mask's verse is nice. And for our number 3 spot, we have New World Order verse 2, where he hits 8 syllables per second.
Hey, when you cause you telling me I put F in a felony, she gon' technical grip my dick in a canopy. Like a manatee, ready to fight for my enemies, and I'm waiting and wishing for the enemy. Look on the pussy, no watch it, look at it, stick it, cause all busy to me, consider it.
I absolutely love how this verse sounds. The way the kicks hit while Ski Mask is flowing just adds such a nice bounce to it, and 8 syllables per second is a fairly high speed to hit. This song just goes hard, honestly. It's one of those verses that just hypes you up with the energy which is going on throughout it. There were a couple parts where I found it a little difficult to kind of comprehend what Ski Mask was saying with the faster flows, but that's not too much of a negative because he still has enough clarity to make his verse sound good. And for our second fastest Ski Mask the Slump God verse, we have Flow Rida by the Higher Brothers verse 3, where he hits 8.1 syllables per second.
Bitch, bet I can fuck your mother, I'm shopping, can fucking cut her, she wet like the fucking gunners, so just like a nature lover, I'm watching a nigga water before I be started sucking, I stop and remind her to ask the pucker. I am a motherfucker and click as a chicken plucker, he told me your bitch a booty is up,
This is the most recently released track that we have on this list, and it's a collab between Ski Mask and the Higher Brothers. The Higher Brothers sound pretty dope, but I don't think I could listen to rappers who speak in other languages purely because I find it weird when I don't know the lyrics to a song. Like, I really like to understand what is being said, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of listening to foreign rappers, although I will say that the switching between the languages that they do is insanely dope. That sounds really cool. And I think Ski's verse on here may be one of my favorites that he's ever done. The dark beat fits him perfectly, and just listen to how he flows on it. It's pretty impossible for me to dislike this verse, it's so damn good. And at our first spot and the fastest Ski Mask the Slump God verse of all time, we have verse 1 on DURAGFLOWZ, where he hits 8.2 syllables per second.
Yo, shit not keeping up, think you need a thumbtack. Pussy coming leaking like hell, he gon' need a pad. Said it, I'm dripping like he put ice in a bag, and I feel like I'm Brady cause I got 12 on my back.
It was very close, but DURAGFLOWZ takes our number 1 spot as the fastest Ski Mask verse of all time. The beat for this one is insane, and I don't think many people other than Ski could rap over beats that sample SpongeBob and kill it. Like, just like Shit Talk, that was another one that I mentioned samples SpongeBob, so does this track. And on both of those tracks, he manages to slaughter it over a goddamn SpongeBob sample. This track is just mental from start to finish. He genuinely kills this. And it's so dope when he starts doing that whisper flow. It's like an ASMR rap at that point, which sounds weird to say, but trust me, it's really good. If you want to hear one of Ski's most wild songs, I think this is definitely up there with the craziest. Great flows, super interesting beat that samples a cartoon, and it sounds different to a lot of his other tracks. That's the formula right there for a great Ski song. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe if you haven't seen any of my videos before and you would like to see more of this content in the future. As always, leave requests below. Just remember when you're leaving your requests that top 10s, I'm not going to be doing them as much now, and most likely won't be doing them if it's not a 10 fastest verses list, so just keep that in mind. Thank you so much for watching guys. I'll hopefully see you all in the next one, and this is CDTVProductions signing out. Also, 100k merch. I dropped some merch for 100k, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned it in a video yet, but I dropped that. Link is in the description below for the US and the UK store. Enjoy guys.